Hi folks, Jonny Matthew here. Welcome back to the blog. If it's your first time, welcome, extra welcome for you guys. If you're a returning visitor, welcome as well. If you wanted to support the work, you can do that by becoming a paid subscriber. I think you can do it for $5 or something. But of course, as always, you're welcome to this for nothing. So I hope you enjoy it. This is a bit of a Jonny update and some links, some interesting stuff to help during radio silence. Introduction. I wanted to pop on quickly to break the radio silence and just say hi. As many of you will know, my mum's serious health situation that lasted many months. So eventually she passed away on Saturday, the 27th of September. Bless her. I'm obviously prioritising spending time with my sibs and my dad just now, and as well, particularly even trying to focus a bit on my own recovery from what has been a very traumatic few months. So I'm not yet writing regularly. I'm mindful, though, of, and I'm very grateful for, you guys' patience with my silence in the blogosphere. Regularity is everything in this world, isn't it? And I'm very aware I've fallen woefully short of that. But it's not for lack of desire on my part, but obviously my head just really isn't fully in the game again just yet. We are getting there. That said, I'm continuing to read a bit and grapple with the many issues that characterise our work with troubled kids and their families, as well as disparate other bits and bobs. So I thought I'd ping over a few bits that might be of interest. Some of these I've posted as Substack Notes and other social media posts as I've gone along, but not others. So there's a couple of blog posts I've read, other people's posts, and info that I'm just going to share. There's some autism-related stuff that I've been reading, and then just a little bit on CSA and safeguarding, child sexual abuse and safeguarding. So I'll just mention these quickly. But of course, the text blog that you can get on Substack, Jonny VM, that's Jonny JONNY VM.substack.com. You can find the text blog there, and there's quite a few links that will save you rummaging for some of this stuff if you want to read it later. So the first thing is a blog post by Tom Hartman, and the post is called ADHD and the Dopamine Myth: What Motivation Science Gets Wrong. It's a corker. It came up on my email feed, and so I just thought, I'm going to clip that and share it with the guys on Substack. The focus really is on understanding the difference with motivation in folk with ADHD. Tom's book, by the way, which is called Hunter in a Farmer's World, is really good. It's absolutely one of my favourite ADHD reads. So there's a link to that in the post as well. But the blog post, ADHD Myth and the Dopamine Myth: What Motivation Science Gets Wrong, is well worth a reading. You can follow Tom on Substack as Tom Hartman, and Tom is THOM, and then Hartman with 2 N's at the end. Well worth a visit. I strongly recommend his writing. And then secondly, a book by Peter Singer. So this was, it's a book I've read in the last few months. It's called The Life You Can Save: How You Can Do Your Part to End World Poverty. So Peter Singer is a world-renowned philosopher who's written on a vast array of subjects, including ethics, animal rights, the morality of wealth, among other things. And the book really is a philosophical deep dive, but a data-informed exploration of giving and how individuals, organisations and charities can best direct the resources to maximum effect. It's helped me think much more clearly, I think, about where I root my own giving. I give a set percentage of everything that comes in to the business, to charitable causes, and it's set me thinking really about how to root that resource to the most efficient places. It's not for the faint-hearted, the book. The audio book would be my recommended format for this one, but it honestly is absolutely worth the effort. So that's Peter Singer, The Life You Can Save, How to Do Your Part to End World Poverty. Cracking good read, that one. Then some autism-related bits and bobs. I've come across a few situations recently that have tested me on what I know, or more honestly, what I don't know, frankly, about autistic spectrum conditions and how best to work with them. I've always been a massive believer in being clear when I'm out of my depth. So I also can't stand not knowing stuff. So that's quite a good combination, but it does mean you have to read a lot because you have a very present sense of your own knowledge shortcomings, which then drives you to the books and the research to fill those gaps. So there are two reads around this by Temple Grandin that I really recommend. So she is a professor and a speaker and a trainer and an author with autism. I mean, she's a professor, a world-renowned academic in animal husbandry, particularly cattle handling. But the other passion she has is really, I think of her as an ambassador to the neurotypical world on behalf of people with autism. So the one book is called The Autistic Brain. I'm reading that at the moment. It came recommended, so I thought I'd give it a go, and I don't regret that at all. Just reading it is a clinic in what we can learn from people with autistic spectrum conditions. And the other book that I have in process at the moment that I've almost finished, as you can tell, I'm down a massive ADHD rabbit hole chasing autism just at the moment. That's just how my brain works. But this one is called Navigating Autism. And I think the subtitle, I've got it here somewhere, hang on. The subtitle is 9 Mindsets for Helping Kids on the Spectrum. And she's co-written it, Temple Grandin has co-written it with Deborah Moore, who is a clinical psychologist. It's really good. So it lays out these 9 mindsets for us when helping kids on the spectrum. So let me just state what the 9 mindsets are. I mean, these will resonate with you anyway, I'm sure. But number 1, every child is more than autism. Number 2, whole child evaluations or assessments, tend to be called in the UK, are vital. Number 3, steps to take before beginning any intervention. Number 5, know these medical conditions associated with autism. Number 5, know these psychiatric conditions associated with autism. I think we might have had 2 number 5s then. Number 6, prepare kids for the real world. Number 7, focus on strengths, not just deficits. 8, work on the growth zone. And then finally, number 9, envision a successful adult. Now, I haven't quite finished either of these books yet, but I'm well on with them. I find them really helpful. Not least, I think, because of the unique perspective brought to the subject by an extremely bright autistic person who really knows their onions, but is also very good at communicating that for neurotypicals and others to get their head around. So I really recommend those 2 books by Temple Grandin, The Autistic Brain and Navigating Autism. That second one co-written with Deborah Moore as a clin psych. Then in this little autism section, there's just a little bit about autistic spectrum conditions and criminality. My main reason, I guess, for deep diving into autism just now relates to some work that I want to do in the prevent field. And this connects 1 or 2 other previous posts, actually, on the blog here, where autism and numerous other things and criminality have overlapped, notably the Southport tragedy and the Ammanford school stabbings. There's a series of 3 posts on Substack about the Ammanford school stabbings, and there's also on the first anniversary of the Southport tragedy, I reposted a post that I wrote about that at the time, and the links to those in the text post, or just search them up on Substack. But my passion, as always, is to fight for kids whose needs are not properly understood, such that they get a raw deal, and not least, of course, when their behaviour means they fall foul of the criminal law. So I did an illicit search, a kind of AI academic search on this to get a summary of what we know on the subject from recent academic research and thought, and I link to that. You can have that report. You can get that through the blog. It's a really useful summary. And the various summary sections are useful in themselves. As always, the biography of that illicit search is gold dust for anyone who wants to read in a little bit more detail. I've bought another book that I've dipped into. It's that kind of book, really. It's more of a reference book, but it also focuses on this. And it's called Autism and the Law by Adam Feinstein. That's already proven to be useful reference work to have around. It's one of those you kind of want within arm's reach if, like me, you find yourself on the fringes and occasionally in the thick of the criminal justice system dealing with forensics and children and autism. So a few bits there, some interesting stuff on prevent an illicit search on autism criminality, autistic spectrum conditions and criminality, some links to the Southport Stack post and the Ammanford stabbings one, and then a couple of book links as well. And then final little section, CSA and safeguarding, so child sexual abuse and safeguarding. The CSA Centre for Expertise, so that's the Centre for Expertise on Child Sexual Abuse, recently published their guide for developing a strategic response to child sexual abuse. It's really good stuff, this. And its primary aim, I guess, is at local safeguarding children boards and partnerships, but there's really useful data in there for others too. So the report is based on, or the guide really, it's based on a review of 170 odd serious case reviews on rapid evidence and child practice reviews. So it's a useful repository of up-to-date thinking on the subject. So on that basis, it's well worth a read, and it's an absolute must-read for anyone with a policy that hasn't been updated for a while. So I would say if you're a social worker working in child protection, particularly if you're a manager or a head of children's services or a head of safeguarding anywhere, whether that's in a school or at high level in a local authority or an LEA, that's an absolute must. It's called, I think, the Guide for Developing a Strategic Response to Child Sexual Abuse. It will really help with the updating process because they've done a lot of the legwork around that. So I realise this is a slightly different post. It's a little bit meandering and splintered and fragmented, but I just thought, I haven't really got my head around writing blog posts in the normal way just yet, although I'm drafting a few. But I thought I'd just share some of these links because there's just some really good stuff out there in the world, and I thought I would pass it on and make it easy for you. So apologies once again for the lack of new blog material. I expect this to continue for a little while longer, but absolutely we'll be back tapping away at the keyboard as soon as possible. My list of future post ideas is now massive and a little bit intimidating, but I am absolutely going to get onto it. I'm also working on a longer form podcast where I'm going to interview people in the troubled kids field and hopefully produce some really good stuff for you guys through that as well. So look out for that. In the meantime, I hope these few bits and bobs will inspire you to keep reading. Thanks again so much for your kindness, both in staying subscribed here while I haven't been around, and some of you who've messaged me. I'm really grateful for that, and particularly, of course, for my lovely paid subscribers for whose generosity I am eternally grateful. It means more than you know. So anyway, I hope that's useful and interesting. Loads of links in the text post, and I will look forward to seeing you as soon as possible in the next one. Cheers, guys.